The incredible level of interest in what was, to me, a drone news story and the almost, well, hysterical response from some reminded me of another story that we covered on this channel a few years ago. The main difference was law enforcement and the local government were chasing these drones in a pretty open way as well. They even held town hall meetings and police briefings. The mystery Colorado drones gained national and international news interest, with a wide range of people, from farmers to police, reporting large groups of very large drones flying in formation across parts of Colorado. There was also a lot more footage of the drones compared to the lights that we're seeing with the UK incidents. These were again large-scale triangular-shaped drones with lights flashing, etc. The noise described by those who watched them in the sky was of a lawnmower or certainly a petrol engine. This even went to the point of senior politicians writing to US defense sources to demand answers as whether this was an internal test or a system shrouded in secrecy flown by the US authorities themselves. Other rumours focused on potential mapping companies and, of course, the usual foreign state angles, etc., etc. The drones were again flying in formation and seemingly stopping to hover at certain points, which you'll hear in a little bit. A wider concern is that many of the flights were around areas of sensitivity in terms of the US nuclear infrastructure. It was a crazy time with local film crews even chasing police who were chasing the drones. It was some incredible footage from back then. One important thing is to listen to witnesses on the ground, I personally believe. So here is an interview I recorded back then with a local Colorado resident who witnessed what she saw as drones. You can spot a very unwell feeling me from the home studio back in the day. Enjoy.
I obviously heard about it on the news, and
Yes.
I know it was predominantly in northeastern Colorado. We're a little bit more central, east central, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So we really hadn't seen it. I hadn't heard about it. I heard it. I know that sounds weird for people who don't understand, but I heard it first. I went out and looked and wasn't sure what I was looking at. And when I looked on the eastern horizon from our place, there were just bright lights everywhere that are not there. That's not part of DIA traffic. That's not there.
No, yeah.
It's far enough. I can't tell if they're moving, hovering, none of that, but they are so bright, these lights. And we had a friend call us. His mom's place is not far from us. And one of those drones flew over her place, turned on what seemed to be like headlights, and flashed a picture. And he says picture because it was like a camera flash.
Yes.
Over her house and road right where the power station is, which was a little concerning.
Of course.
And then flew off. So then we just kind of started watching, and I went outside because I wanted to see what everyone, we were trying to see that one. And all of a sudden I saw him on that eastern horizon. And then it was a little bit after that when I saw, I was looking out the bedroom window, which points east. And I called my husband over and I said, it's moving right for us. And he goes, no. And I said, yeah. And it was coming straight towards our house.
Wow.
Very quickly, very fast. And then we could hear it. We saw it coming and then we could hear it. So we stepped out onto the deck and we watched it, and it flew directly, right over us. You could throw a rock at it. It was the first of 30 on Saturday night that did that.
That's incredible.
And we went in and we were watching the game. The second one is the one that I took in the video.
Yes.
So it flew right over my deck, and we were able to really get, and the video does not show the detail we saw.
What kind of noise did you hear? Was it like a jet noise, or was it a propeller noise? Or
It was not propeller. It wasn't that, that hum of like what you would think of a drone.
Yes.
It sounded
these little things make the buzzing noises, don't they? And they almost sound like a swarm of bees coming towards you.
Yes. No, it was not. It was like a jet. And that's where a lot of people are like, well, that's a nice jet you captured. It sounds like a jet. I said, it was not. And I said, it was probably a couple hundred feet above my house. If that was a jet, it would have blown me off the deck, and it would have been a lot louder, but it was very loud. It was very steady. Somebody put a post of like a drone with a turbine.
Yes.
And it sounds very similar to that. One girl would have been south of me on Highway 86, which is a state highway. They pulled over and watched one, and she said it sounded like a mini helicopter.
Yes.
So that one leads me to believe that was a little bit more of like the propeller sound as opposed to the 30. So I counted 30. I kept track. 30 of those I was in some flight pattern. that evening that all of these drones, I'd watch them on the eastern horizon, they'd start coming towards us and they would fly. And when I say directly over my house, I mean right
Over
over
your house,
30
absolutely.
of them. And then we went in to watch the game and we would hear it. So we'd all run out and watch it because you could hear it before it got to the house.
Mhm.
Only one time of all of that, I saw one fly back from west to east.
Okay.
It was further north of me, and I did see one go back to the east, but only one out of all 30 that I saw,
Yes.
that I saw go all the way as
Yes.
far into the western horizon as I could see.
One thing that's worth pointing out as well is obviously Kiowa, especially if you're just north of Kiowa, you're not in downtown Denver here, so you're not
No.
hearing noises every 5 seconds. I
Right.
had one other chap I spoke to in a similar location to yours said you can hear a truck 5 miles away.
Yep.
If he misses his gear, it sort of catches your ear, and you go, "Oh, he just missed his gear."
Yeah.
This isn't an overpopulated or over noise polluted area at all, is
No.
it?
No. It's very open. There's not trees. We're in the high plains, so Denver, the Mile High City, you go another 15 feet up in elevation to my place, which is southeast of Denver, and then it's where it kind of drops back off to Kansas. So we're at about 7,300 feet elevation, and it's all open. It's not trees.
Wow.
It's pasture land. It's rolling hills of grass for cows. There's
Yes.
no trees. I mean, it's a very open area as far as viewing.
Could you see any kind of discernible shape?
Well, what I keep thinking I see, because I watched a couple of them last night, it was a lot. There was only a handful last night that flew over us. But when I stood under there and looked at it, it's really strange. It's got the lights, the red, white, and then I would say blue. Some people say green.
Yes.
But the undercarriage is lit on these. And it's almost like I don't want to say running lights because it's not dual running lights. It's almost like running lights right down the middle.
Okay.
And so the shape to me, like I've looked at some of those drones that have the body and then the wings that extend out.
Yes.
These seem to be, like straight wings like that.
Yes.
These seem to be triangular. I think what the problem that we're seeing here in Colorado essentially is not the fact that there's drones, but the fact that every entity has come on the news saying they're not responsible.
Yes.
The FAA doesn't know, Homeland Security doesn't know, FBI doesn't know, CIA doesn't know, EPA doesn't know. Nobody knows. The entire government claims they don't know. Everything that we see leads to some kind of government operation due to the cost of the machines, the widespread use of the machines. I mean, it's not some hobby guy out trying to cause problems. It's just
yes.
you kind of see is it something the government's doing. So what people are saying is, why don't they say something? Like, we understand, we know the drones are there. Surely they can't tell us everything that they're doing.
Yes.
But the fact that I think what concerns people is if the government really does not know what these drones are, the lackadaisical approach that we are seeing through media is concerning, that we have unidentified drones flying over rural America, flying over our homes, our properties, missile silos, and whatnot. And the government doesn't seem like they're really putting a lot of resources to figuring out why.
To me, the witness was credible, and she didn't seem to have any particular online presence or desire for fame, etc. I found it compelling from a regular American sharing an experience. She certainly believed what she had seen. Similarly to the current situation above USAF bases in the UK, the story then widened dramatically in terms of geography and types of sightings. The original core sightings of what I feel were genuine groups of aircraft were then joined by an almost hysterical online mess of people reporting everything from manned aviation through to Starlink satellites and even building warning lights. The story took on a life of its own and still actually rumbles on today. There are still groups dedicated towards it. The US authorities do actually recognize and confirm concerns about groups of drones seen flying around nuclear sites like this, and it is those core early sightings that are taken the most seriously. The issue here, of course, is identifying something in the air at night and then trying to record it on the camera most of us carry around, our phones. It's very difficult. This leads to a very human trait of seeing what we want to see and reading complexity into some simple lights. Now, that isn't detracting from what what anyone is seeing or is seen, but it is a fact, especially at night. A journalist over on X.com who carries out a lot of work to debunk aviation myths and a vocal advocate for the UK drone industry, Ian from UAVHIVE, has put together, working with the awesome chap over at Gorilla Drones, an interesting clip to explain this issue more. Take a look at the clip and keep an open mind. You can find a link to Ian and his feed in the description below.
On aircraft, you have navigation lights for night. So on the right-hand side, you'll have a green. On the left-hand side, you have red. So that's so you know the orientation of the craft. So you know where the front and the back is by telling which is left and which is right. You'll also have white lights and strobes in white. The cockpit could give out a number of colours. Blue would be one of those, and we've seen that in some of the videos that have gone out this week. A wing light on a aircraft. So this is just a GA, small aircraft. They'll be made up of multiple lights. You can see even there on the small unit, that's made up of several very bright LEDs. On a drone, you would have far fewer LEDs. You might just have one. If it's a bigger drone, you might have a couple. The DJI Mini 3 that we're seeing in this video is typical drone. Most people these days want a small drone under 250 grams because the laws for flying those give you a lot more freedom. So it's very difficult these days to get an off-the-shelf drone that's bigger than that. You would have to build something if you wanted a big drone. The Mini 3 has two small LEDs at the front, and as we can see, those two LEDs are green. I'm going to pause the video for a moment, and then we can discuss what's going on here. So this is at 50 meters. This is what a drone looks like when you're genuinely close to it, and you know it's a drone. You know it's a drone here from a number of factors. The main one is, if you listen to the audio, you can hear it's a drone. A drone has a very distinctive sound, so it's nothing like any other aircraft. It sounds like a lot of buzzing bees almost. So you can hear the drone is there. You'll also find you're having a track round because it's that close to you. The mobile phone, as we can see from the clouds, just, it's kind of there as a grey mush in the background. It's having to be followed around and tracked. That's an indication something is close to you. You'll see a lot of stuff. This is a drone I'm filming. And it's static. It's held in the hand. It's on the dashboard. No, it's not. That is something miles away. That's air traffic miles away.
Okay, one last time. These are small, but the ones out there are far away. Small, far away. Forget it.
Miles away, where you're seeing the navigation lights, and you're thinking it's a drone. You're not thinking about how far away things are. Now we're going to look at the 200% zoom and a 400 zoom. Again, this is totally pointless, but people do this. They zoom in, and it makes things look a lot more dramatic. So we know we're looking at some LEDs of a few millimetre in size, and suddenly looks more bulbous. It looks like it's looking at something far bigger and impressive, and we're not. It's just what you think because you're seeing something zoomed in. Now at 80 meters, it's already getting more difficult to see. We can tell there's two lights. We're getting a hint of green, but it's actually getting more difficult to see the colour. It's looking almost a little whiter than it did when we saw it close up. We can still just make out the audio from the props as well. Now, when you consider the radio comms this week has said whatever was possibly in the sky or was possibly mistaken was at 7,000 feet. So we're looking at well over 15 times further away than what we're seeing here. So you can see a drone simply would not be recordable from the ground at those kind of heights. That's why the videos that are going out are air traffic. They're not drones. They are something far, far bigger with proper aviation lights on. So do keep that in mind when you see videos posted.
So that is an interesting clip, and thanks to Ian for making it, but also Guerrilla Drones for taking the time to record the footage. One other factor in terms of panic and hysteria around the UK sightings is the seemingly worrying fact that jets and helicopters have been seen flying without lights over recent evenings. However, this was actually an expected occurrence and is highly unlikely to be a response to hostile activity, as there are NOTAMs in place, which have been there for a few days, showing military aircraft all across the region flying without lights. Even though there is evidence and an explanation via these NOTAMs, it still feeds into the hysteria a little, and of course causes confusion when people looking into the sky locally are concerned when they see jets and helicopters without lighting, especially with what's been going on, or certainly what's been drummed up in the recent days. It is more likely that the military would stay silent and not discuss any of the ongoing issues. In fact, certainly they would be unlikely to issue press reports and releases discussing drones that they can't keep track of. As ever, none of this is intended to take anything away from what anyone thinks. I'm not there, I'm not seeing these lights, etc. Certainly people believe what they are seeing, and they're also perhaps bringing in other stories, other occurrences they've seen around the country and the world, and that is absolutely fine. I have as open mind as anybody else, but I would ask you to have an open mind in terms of this as well. We do need to put these things through an evidence check and not simply blindly get swept up. So as we get through the next weeks with undoubtedly more sightings of varying levels of reliability, keep in mind what we're saying here. We will, of course, keep you informed of any other updates on this, so subscribe if you're new. I've been enjoying the UAP community in my comments. It's been an interesting ride recently, so thanks for joining us for it, and I'll see you again soon. Sean out.